I woke up believing that the worst 9-win team in the country was coming to Lincoln to get their shit kicked in, and that Scott Frost was going to end this mess of a season on a high note. For 3 quarters, all felt right in the world, knowing that Iowa couldn't get in the end zone even if you paid them to. And more importantly, the unknown kid at quarterback was doing enough to give us hope that even if Iowa did keep it close, the offense would have enough firepower to get in the end zone at least one more time. But this is life as a Nebraska fan in 2021, and the only things guaranteed are death, taxes, and game-changing moments on special teams. Today I'm reacting to this loss to Iowa, and I'm giving you my final thoughts on this season. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, make sure you turn on your post notifications so you don't miss any of the content I drop this offseason. And if you like when I drop content like this, make sure you hit the like button because it really helps more people find the channel. With all that said, let's jump into it.
And Martinez looking for the pylon. He's got a touchdown.
Taylor Britt and a game-changing touchdown. The pick six.
I've gotten a few messages this week about whether or not I was going to do a Black Friday sale on the merch, so I decided to make a code for you guys. It's code GBR, and that'll give you 30% off whatever you buy in the store. So I've got these white hoodies, I've got black ones, I've also got long sleeves. Anything you buy in the store, the link is in the description. It's corncrazed.com. It'll be 30% off with code GBR. So I really appreciate you guys when you support the merch. It really helps me out because, like you guys know, I've been working less to make more of this content. I don't make that much money off of this content. And when you guys like it, share it, subscribe, buy the merch, it really helps me out. So I appreciate you guys who have bought, who are going to buy, and just anyone who's watched the content. Thank you. Once again, Memorial Stadium was sold out for a team who's only won a single conference game all season. Think about that. This team loses every single week and still has one of the best fan bases in the country. Earlier this year, Ohio State lost to Oregon, and after that game, they were still a top 10 team, but the next week, they couldn't even get to 75% capacity. Today, Nebraska was 100% full. Oh, and this is the worst season Nebraska has had since 1957. If that isn't a recruiting draw, I don't know what is. Nebraska hasn't beaten a ranked team in almost 2,000 days, hasn't won a game in 2 months. Their starting quarterback wasn't playing. Half of the coaching staff is gone, and the fan support here is still stronger than half of the teams in the top 25. I mean, how many college football fan channels are as strong as ours in general, let alone for a team who doesn't win? To give you perspective, we've grown almost 3,500 subscribers since this season started, and all we do is vent about losing. If Scott Frost can't get studs out of the portal and can't put together a solid coaching staff this offseason with all of these resources and all of this fan support, I don't know what to tell you. I do want to address Sam Laporta's touchdown grab that was called a no catch early in the game. That was a clear drop. Reimer didn't even get his hand on it, and for once, the refs finally didn't jam Nebraska. After the touchdown was overturned, Mike Pereira came on to talk about how that was a missed call. But he didn't say it once, he said it like 6 or 7 times, and he continued to talk about it throughout the game, which was pretty freaking annoying. Then he made up another call on his own. The refs never said anything about this. Markel Dismuke had a straight up hit to the dude's chest. When he hit him, he got right under his chin strap in his jaw. It was a hard hit, but it was not a targeting. Pereira talked for about 10 minutes about how that should have been a targeting. We do not care. For all of the bad officiating that Nebraska's gotten this season, even if that was a targeting, Nebraska earned a break. And Mike, your job is safe. I don't need to hear you talk about the same point 6 different times for a total of 20 minutes. You can just move on to something else that matters, or sit back in the studio on mute and let the rest of us enjoy what's currently going on in the game. And now on to the quarterback. All year, the fan base has been divided on whether to stick with Adrian or try out Logan Smother'S. I've stood my ground all season and said stick with Adrian because Logan is just Adrian with less experience. Today we saw Logan throw some great balls to the sideline, played really well when there was pressure in his face, and he ran the option and made really good decisions with that. But one thing did hold true. Smother'S is Martinez. With his back against the end zone and Iowa riding momentum, Logan pulled an Adrian and took a sack for a safety. The only option on that play was to tuck the ball and run it up the middle, or try and dump it off really quickly. But what he learned was when you've got a lot of pressure from this average O-line, it's really hard to make those decisions. Later in the game, he had a pass deep downfield that ended up going for an interception that looked oddly familiar to Adrian. That was a miscommunication with either the sideline or the receiver. And then at another point, he had a fumble on a play-action handoff, and we've seen that one way too many times. Now, I'm not here to bag on Logan. He actually played a really good game outside of those 3 mistakes. And I was really happy with how confident he was as a passer and that he was able to complete so many of them. But it's now confirmed that no matter who's at quarterback, we will see these same issues continue until the O-line is fixed and there is an actual running game established. The option today was really productive. It was awesome to see Logan run it because he's fast. He looked a lot like Adrian doing it. And I think that could be Nebraska's future if they can find a way to be consistent throughout a full game. Today, Iowa was able to adjust and stop it and force Nebraska to throw a bit more. But if they can find a way to get this option to be the main base offense, I think Nebraska can have a lot of success with this going forward. Watching Adrian walk out of the tunnel today made me think that that wasn't his last time. He was a little bit too upbeat and positive and not emotional enough for me. So I'm thinking he'll be back. And if he does come back, it'll be interesting what happens with him and Logan. My guess is Scott Frost will say Adrian's the starter, but it'll be an open competition. But in reality, if Adrian does screw up, Logan is right behind him because he's now proven he can play. If you've got the new offensive coordinator coming in, what's he going to think? Is he going to want to get a transfer in who's won games or a transfer in who can throw the ball a little bit better? Not sure. That will leave for an interesting quarterback competition this offseason, especially because Adrian's coming off a throwing shoulder surgery. I'm interested to see what happens, so we'll be keeping tabs on that. But yeah, Adrian, I'm going to guess, is going to come back. Either way, I'm not that worried about the offense. If I'm Scott Frost, my number one priority is finding the best special teams coach that I can and revamping the entire special teams unit. Nebraska had Iowa dead to rights. The defense shut them down for 3 quarters and held them to a total of 3 field goals. And then the play happened that made all of our stomachs drop. Up 12 points with all of the momentum to start the 4th quarter. Nebraska punts it from their own 25, it gets blocked, and Iowa scores their first touchdown of the game. That was the game. Scott Frost said it in the press conference. Everybody was saying it on social media. If there's one thing that's consistent with this Nebraska team, it's that there will always be a self-inflicted, game-changing play that ultimately leads to a loss. If Nebraska had competent special teams units, they would have ended up winning 4 or 5 more games and would have been a 7 or 8 win team this year. Just look at these 5 games and how much special teams cost them. Illinois was an 8-point loss. The special teams cost Nebraska 4 points and a possession. Oklahoma was a 7-point loss. Special teams cost Nebraska 9 points. Michigan State was a 3-point loss. Special teams cost them 7 points. Wisconsin was a 7-point loss. Special teams cost them 7 points. And Iowa was a 7-point loss. And special teams cost them 7 points. No quarterback can compete with this insanity. The defense held strong for most of the game and only gave up one big 55-yard rush to Goodson, and Isaac Gifford had an interception hit his hands that he ended up dropping, but he's only a freshman, so I'm sure he's going to be a very valuable asset for this defense for years to come. Iowa's offense only scored 19 points and got in the end zone 1 time. So if Nebraska's defense can hold teams like Iowa and Wisconsin to 21 or 19, then the offense should absolutely be able to come through and score at least 22 a game so that they can actually win some of these games. Congrats Austin Allen for breaking the school record of single-season receiving yards. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if he will get drafted this year, but I'm really hoping he does because he will absolutely make an impact in the NFL. The next tight ends up are all studs. You got Vokalek, Brewington, and Fedoni all coming back next year, so hopefully they can live up to what Allen has set, because these expectations are going to be legit for the tight ends going forward. Nebraska will officially go down as the undisputed best 3-9 college football team of all time, with 8 1-point losses and 1 9-point loss to the number 2 team in the country, who could very well end up winning the national championship at the end of all of this. At full strength, this squad could definitely take on Alabama, Cincinnati, and probably even Georgia, even though they would lose all of those games by 3 to 7 points. And since we're still around Thanksgiving, I will say I'm very thankful for this coaching staff, even the ones who are gone, and all of the players on this team for never giving up. I've seen Nebraska get annihilated and quit in big games so many times that yes, some of these 3-point losses were moral victories for me. I am Nebraska football, and Nebraska football is me. So if I can show up, fight to win, and never quit on my personal game days, then I expect the same of them. And this year, we got that. But next year, it's time to actually win these close games. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Logan Smother'S' debut, how you felt about the option offense, what your thoughts are going forward. And man, we are just getting started on content. I got 9 more videos to make over the next couple weeks. I've got a whole list I wrote out. So even though the Nebraska football season's over, the off season is just getting started. So with all that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Big Red.